This morning on The Dish, Joe and Shaina Papach. Their restaurant, the Harvey House, sits less than a mile from the Wisconsin state capitol and is aiming to be at the center of dining in Madison and beyond. It's the result of a long journey for two culinary professionals who fell in love with food before falling in love with each other.
So you're going to go first to 31 with these two salmon, 1 and 2.
Chef Joe Papach spent his career working in some of the country's most prestigious kitchens, but he's built a home at the Harvey House.
Put all this stuff back every single time in the same spot.
The restaurant he and his wife Shaina opened in Madison, Wisconsin, where the couple pairs their culinary chops with their Midwestern roots.
This is Midwest hospitality at its finest. You could not have this place without kielbasa somehow on the menu.
I mean, some sort of cheesy sausage is out there, and it had to come in here for sure.
For this seasonal soup, Papach squeezes cheese fondue over peas, then dusts it with mint powder.
Then the server will come, and then they just do this last minute of pouring of the soup into the cream.
This is so good.
Thanks.
That mint, it's like just the hint of mint.
Joe and Shaina are something of a culinary power couple, each graduates of East Coast culinary schools who've worked alongside dining royalty. But there's only one cook in this kitchen.
Do you miss being back there ever?
I do not. I love the design. I love sort of the general hospitality. I love creating relationships with guests.
I like cooking, so.
And you are really good at it.
Thanks.
The Harvey House is inspired by Midwest supper clubs, which date back to the Prohibition era. Its updated menu features an Instagram-worthy relish tray, seasonal vegetables, and an aerated whipped ranch with dill, served with a smoked trout dip and toast. Cannelloni with a charred eggplant bechamel, topped with a lacquer of cheese fondue, fruit, and vegetables. Ribeye steak with a pomme puree.
A passed-on legendary potato puree from French Laundry, so there's only one way to make pomme puree, and that's the way we do it, and we'll never make it another way.
Again, I'm destroying the work of art.
Oh, you're supposed to.
And Lake Superior walleye, an ode to a fish fry.
And then we get lots of questions about how we get that skin so crispy. So it's just a very thinly sliced piece of rye bread.
Yep. So it's like you're emulating skin, but you're adding just another flavor to
the crunch.
It's better than skin.
Buttery toast.
Yeah, buttery toast.
Joe and Shaina's partnership goes back 16 years, starting as strictly business at New York's Gramercy Tavern.
He was my boss. Yep, and it was my first job out of culinary school.
When did boss go to, I'd like this to not just be boss working
Not for a
you?
long time, actually.
Yeah, not for a long time. Can I get cheddar mousse over?
Joe left New York for the West Coast, eventually becoming sous chef for Thomas Keller at the French Laundry. Shaina went to grad school and did stints for the likes of Dan Barber and Alice Waters, including at her edible schoolyard project.
Yeah, I was already at French Laundry. My friend was asking me how he can elevate school lunch in the Bay Area. And I was single at the time, and I was like, I know a woman that knows so much about this.
Ulterior motives.
I'm gonna talk to her about that. Yeah, before we knew it, I think we were married, and
They nearly opened a restaurant in Napa Valley before abruptly moving back to Shaina's hometown.
The night before we were supposed to sign the lease on a restaurant space in St. Helena, where we were living at the time, we were walking around and we were like, I don't think this is the right move. I was pregnant with Max, our first son. We were very, very close to my family, and Joe's family lives in Indiana, and felt like it would be
good spot to go to.
To find just the right space for a restaurant, the couple found inspiration far from Wisconsin.
We spent a little bit of time in Europe after Joe finished at the French Laundry. After having been in France and seeing all of these incredible,
Old,
historic buildings.
Yeah, just like very romantic, but you're like, okay, we're gonna go back to the U.S. and go back there. Nothing's really that old, so.
Until they discovered Madison's historic train depot. Built in 1903, all but abandoned since it went out of service more than 50 years ago.
We came in here and it was like
we want to do this.
This is where it's gonna be.
Joe and Shaina spent 3 years excavating and renovating the old train stop into a 5,000 square foot dining destination.
This was the train platform where people caught the trains, and we put the terrazzo floor in.
And I guess, what would a train station be without the train?
Exactly, the train car.
This is where we're headed.
So we do private dining on here.
Okay.
It's a great place for holiday parties or birthday parties, something a little more intimate. This track that's laid down here is not operational,
Okay.
but there is an operational truck on the other side,
Oh,
so
get
trains
out.
do come by. So when you're sitting on here a couple
You get the
times a night, you do
vibration.
get a train, which is fun.
Oh, that's crazy.
They named the restaurant mostly as an homage to Fred Harvey, who opened a chain of eateries along train routes in the late 1800s
Come cyclone, come earthquake, the people gotta eat.
and inspired the 1946 film The Harvey Girls, starring Judy Garland.
And they were called the Harvey Houses. But my paternal grandfather is also named Harvey, and so we felt like it was a very nice connection.
The Harvey House is where the Papaches have settled down, sort of, running the restaurant and raising their family. Joe's 14-year-old and their 3 kids together. Son Charlie already showing promise in the family business.
Hello everybody, I'm Chef Charlie. First we need hamburger, gummy, and salt. That's enough, Charlie.
Did he just do it on his own, or
It was during the pandemic, and we were bored.
He was bored.
I was also bored.
And Shaina was bored. People still come up to him today and was like, Chef Charlie, how was your tuna melt?
Balancing it all is hard work, but with help from their staff and family, these two make it look like a piece of cake.
this is like little piece of nostalgia.
Sure is.
There's no tinfoil for me to unwrap.
Yeah, there's no battling a package.
In this case, a classic chocolate Swiss roll and a strawberries and cream pavlova.
Everything good in all of this.
Oh yeah, totally.
Thank you for joining us.
And of course, we brought you this. Because I looked at this and I told Joe, like, as long as you have this, everybody's good. This is like a step back in time and taste. And the whole place, I got to tell you, we have an old fashioned here. Mm-hmm. The drink menu is incredibly crafted also, along with all the foods that are seasonal. You know, I had a Harvey Hopper, which was like a grasshopper. There was a pink squirrel drink. Name it, it just was a step back in time. And if you know supper clubs, it really does have that feel. And if you don't, you should go because you'll understand it. It's an entire feeling.
There's such a sense of nostalgia there and tradition.
But this modern twist on it.
Beautiful.
I have nothing to say.
I know. Isn't that so good?
Can't wait.
Amazing. Yeah.